All right, let's dive into the massive, wildly interconnected universe of the ethereal star system. Welcome to today's explainer, where we are going to unpack a galaxy where cosmic energy shapes absolutely everything. We're talking primordial planets, magical realms, all the way up to galactic gladiatorial arenas. Now, if you follow the lore, you know the sheer scale of this universe can be a little overwhelming. But today, we're going to break down exactly how chaos and order converge to forge the ultimate champions.
I am not born of sky. I am sky remembering form. That ancient prophecy regarding the starborn, it perfectly sets the mystical tone for everything we're about to cover, because in this universe, cosmic power isn't just some raw, dead force. It's sentient. It is alive. And most importantly, it's built entirely on memory. From the magic humming in ancient trees to the stars in the night sky, everything remembers what it used to be. Understanding that this universe acts as a living history is the absolute key to everything we'll talk about today.
So, here is our galactic map for today. First, the birth of the ethereal. Second, Yaenddarr and Elysium Forest. Third, the lunar and fairy realms. Fourth, champions of the cosmos. And finally, cosmosis and the games.
Section 1. Birth of the Ethereal. From the Void.
The foundation of this entire universe kicked off with a mind-bending cosmic anomaly. Picture this: a supermassive black hole at the center of the void reaches critical mass and violently shatters. But it didn't just leave behind dead space dust and random gravity, it released a conscious energy. This living, breathing entity is the ethereal, and it literally forms the skeleton of the cosmos. It spawned three foundational pillars. You've got the solar stars, radiating unyielding life and burning fire, the lunar stars, governing deep cosmic healing and gravitational pull, and the Magi stars, which are these incredibly rare fonts of elemental magic and teleportation. Every single planet and being in this system is a direct extension of that one cataclysmic birth.
Section 2. Yaenddarr and Elysium Forest. The world of memory. Zooming in from that vast cosmic scale, we land on the solar-influenced planet of Yaenddarr. Now, the history of Yaenddarr is basically defined by an endless, brutal loop between chaotic destruction and miraculous restoration. It starts out peacefully with the emergence of life and the plant-based Florian species. But peace never lasts here. That tranquil era gets completely shattered by the violent shadow invasions. We're talking catastrophic wildfires and the emergence of the terrifying, battle-hardened Pharah. It's a hyper-aggressive ecosystem that absolutely refuses to die, forcing everything to either adapt to the violence or perish entirely.
And you really can't understand how Yaenddarr survives these cycles without understanding Elixir. You know how in most lore, healing water just physically fixes wounds? Well, Elixir is basically a cosmic backup drive for your soul. When an injured being enters it, this shimmering substance actively catalogs their emotional memory and their very soul print. It remembers exactly who you were before you were broken and restores you to that state. This stuff is so vital and so heavily targeted during wartime that the merfolk and undines actually had to build a massive underwater mnemonic city called Cyralis just to protect these living records from all the chaotic bloodshed on the surface.
Speaking of the surface, if you want to survive up there, you have got to understand the terrifying taxonomy of the wildlings. These are evolutionary offshoots twisted by the planet's magical surges. At the bottom of the food chain, you've got your B-types, pretty chill, plant-based herbivores relying on camouflage to hide out in forest villages. But then you run into the A-types. These are blindingly fast, hyper-carnivorous apex predators that can rip through a settlement in minutes. And worst of all, the S-types, lurking deep in the savage jungle. We are talking straight-up shadow entities driven by cannibalistic hunger and wielding dark magic. Survival of the fittest is an absolute understatement here.
Section 3. Lunar and Fairy Realms. The Cosmic Alliance. Floating in parallel dimensions way above the savagery of Yaenddarr, there is an overarching cosmic order maintained by a deeply symbiotic trade agreement. Engineered by Celestria of the Lunar Kingdom and Queen Serenity of the Fairy Realms, this is honestly a masterclass in cosmic diplomacy. The Lunarites bring highly advanced celestial technology and the immense gravitational energy of the lunar stars. In exchange, the fairies trade their deeply rooted ancient enchantments and the teleportation capabilities of their Magi stars. It is this perfect, delicate balance of cutting-edge engineering and ancient magic that keeps both realms from falling to ruin.
Power that roars cannot speak. Let it hum and the stars will answer.
This ancient mantra from the fairy training grounds perfectly highlights the intense attunement you need to wield these forces. The elemental magic up here is incredibly volatile.
If a student loses focus and tries to just force their power through sheer will, the blowback is catastrophic. We're talking massive explosive flare bursts or even triggering a permanent feral transformation that twists the user into a mindless beast. So survival in these realms isn't about raw, roaring strength. It's about absolute restraint, control, and letting the cosmic energy hum through you naturally.
Section 4. Champions of the Cosmos, Forged in Chaos.
So all of these incredible cosmic forces we've talked about, they are ultimately channeled by a few specific, terrifyingly powerful individuals. Take Lycaios, for example. He starts out as an Aeon-born, spawned directly from stellar remnants. But he wakes up in the Elixir waters with total amnesia. To survive the savage jumble, he actually has to learn how to hunt from the very thing trying to kill him, an A-type wildling apex. After enduring that bloody tutelage, he overpowers the apex, absorbs its raw energy, and unlocks a monstrous beastly form. Eventually, he fuses that terrestrial survival instinct with his celestial heritage, achieving the ultimate lunar star form. It is a wildly intense evolution. Then you have the Crocoan brothers, Dante and Milo. They start as refugees fleeing their burning homeworld, but after a grueling decade of training under Celestia, they hit absolute godlike tiers of power. Dante achieves solar ascension, basically turning his body into a near-limitless battery of pyrokinetic destruction. He's firing condensed solar pyre lasers from his eyes and fingertips that can literally melt starships. Meanwhile, Milo goes the opposite direction, scaling the absolute heights of psychic power. He unlocks cosmic awareness, giving him telepathic insight into the very fabric of the universe, meaning he can read his opponent's moves before they even think them.
Section 5. Cosmosis and the Games, the Ultimate Convergence.
Okay, so where do all these gods, monsters, and mages actually cross paths? They collide at Cosmosis. This colossal, zero-gravity galactic metropolis is the peak of interspecies cooperation. Built directly into a desolate asteroid belt by the brilliant Iconians and the artificial intellect of the eunuchs, it is a sprawling cyberpunk melting pot. Neon lights, floating infrastructure, trillions of credits trading hands daily. It is this bustling, cutthroat hub of global media and advanced tech. But beyond all the trade in neon, Cosmosis is famous for one very specific, very brutal reason.
The Cosmosis Games. This is the absolute ultimate test. Every piece of lore we've discussed today gets thrown into this meat grinder. Solar ascendants, lunar stars, elemental fairies, and savage wildlings all fighting for survival. Round 1 is a massive battle royale with thousands of contestants. The survivors get tossed into Round 2, a treacherous, shifting labyrinth filled with cosmic traps. Finally, the remaining elite enter the tournament for brutal one-on-one combat. But here's the craziest part. The arena uses audience-influenced technology. The billions watching across the galaxy can literally shift the terrain, drop hazards, or give power-ups based on who they favor. So yeah, up here, popularity is literally as vital as raw power.
All this history, magic, and science eventually culminates in legendary clashes that rewrite the history books. Just imagine the sheer spectacle of it. Dante, blazing like a miniature sun, fighting back-to-back with Lycaios, who's now operating under the name Jack Lobius in his terrifying, shadow-infused Shadowfera form. It is the raw power of entirely different cosmic realms, light and darkness, creation and destruction, just flawlessly syncing up in the heat of battle. What starts as a chaotic clash transforms right in front of billions of viewers into this legendary symbol of inner-realm unity, bringing the entire Colosseum to its feet. We've seen the unyielding, destructive force of the solar ascendants. We've talked about the incredible adaptability of the lunar stars, the elemental mastery of the fairies, and the sheer, unfiltered savagery of the wildlings. So I have to ask you, when all of these unstoppable forces finally clash in the neon-lit arenas of the Cosmosis Games, who would you bet on to survive the ultimate convergence? Thank you so much for joining me to decode the ethereal star system in today's explainer, and I will see you in the next one.